Hello and welcome to Marketing Edge on TV, Nigeria's #1 and leading initiative in the business of brand management and the management of brand business. It's a 30-minute potpourri of brand news, branding focus, industry conversation, and all put together to promote the brand idea. My name is Dele Agadumo. You're welcome.
The Nigerian marketing and advertising industry, no doubt, offer a huge potential for prospective investors and professionals with requisite skills and competencies to tap into the market. Marketing Edge on TV is a potpourri of happenings and developments in the integrated marketing and communication space of the Nigerian economy. Watch out for top players, gladiators, and professionals in the competitive business of brand management and management of brand business in Nigeria. From the cerebral and glamorous advertising professionals to the well-groomed marketing whiz-kid dictating and directing brand management business. Watch Marketing Edge on TV, only on TVC News.
Welcome to Brand News on Marketing Edge on TV. Now to movements and appointments. Kufre Ekanem resigned from Nigerian Breweries and starts Philosophyville Limited. Communications expert and poet Kufre Ekanem resigned from Nigerian Breweries with effect from October 1, 2018, after 5 years as corporate affairs advisor and member of the executive committee of the leading multinational. Ekanem completed his notice period on September 30 and has since commenced his consulting dream with Philosophyville Limited, a culture, marketing and public relations consultancy company. And more great times lie ahead for MTN's high-value customers as the company unveiled a revamped extra value proposition before the media at the Radisson Blu Hotel on Wednesday in Lagos, Nigeria. Well, the event also marked the formal launch of a partnership between MTN and top Nigerian actress Dakore Ebuson Akande, who now becomes the face of extra value and stars in the latest TV commercials. Moving on, we have stakeholders from across the foods and beverage sector in both public and private sectors, including Coca-Cola Nigeria, have agreed on the need for increased level of collaborations on research and development for sustainable economic development of the nation. Well, during the panel discussion sessions sponsored by Coca-Cola Nigeria at the 42nd Annual Conference organized by Nigerian Institute of Food, Science and Technology held in Abeokuta recently, stakeholders agreed that there was the need for relevant agencies of government, the academia as well as industries in the food and beverage sector to work together by investing heavily on research to pave way for economic growth in Nigeria. One of Nigeria's telecommunications service providers, Airtel, officially launched its 4G service in Lagos on 24th October 2018, a few months after its maiden rollout in the city of Ibadan. By this, Airtel has become the largest 4G service provider in Nigeria, and that's according to the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Airtel Nigeria, Mr. Segun Ogunsoya. And global leader in insurance and asset management, AXA Mansard, has been recognized by Interbrand as the #1 global insurance brand for the 10th consecutive year. In a statement released by the company to mark the achievement, the group head strategy and marketing, AXA Mansard Insurance PLC, Kola Oni, said the recognition was a testament to the company's passion and drive to consistently provide quality products and services to its customers. Unilever has been certified as the #1 top employer in Africa for the 4th time. The certification was announced at the Top Employer Institute Award ceremony held at the Sandton Convention Center in Johannesburg, South Africa. While the firm has also been certified as the #1 top employer in Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and Zimbabwe. And lastly, for brand news this week, fresh facts emanating from the Nigerian media and advertising landscape have revealed that a whopping sum of 8 billion naira media debt overhang has been generating controversies and ripples in the competitive but highly fragmented Nigerian media market, especially the huge media debt profile of client companies, many of whom are multinational companies, have been creating some operational challenges to the media, especially those in the out-of-home advertising, electronic and the print media. Well, that's it on brand news this week on Marketing Edge on TV.
The Nigerian marketing and advertising industry, no doubt, offer a huge potential for prospective investors and professionals with requisite skills and competencies to tap into the market. Marketing Edge on TV is a potpourri of happenings and developments in the integrated marketing and communication space of the Nigerian economy. Watch out for top players, gladiators, and professionals in the competitive business of brand management and management of brand business in Nigeria. From the cerebral and glamorous advertising professionals to the well-groomed marketing whiz kid dictating and directing brand management business. Watch Marketing Edge on TV, only on TVC News.
The battle between Nigeria's top cola brands, Coca-Cola and Pepsi, is probably as old as the market itself. The war has always been predicated on price, volume and campaign activities, as well as the race for the hearts of the consumers. Both brands have over the years been reputed for producing some of the most exciting and captivating market campaigns in a bid to outdo each other in terms of market share. And they have sustained their duopoly with fierce intensity, which has made it almost impossible for a third major cola brand to break into the fray. Just a few years ago, Aegis Bottling Company, with its big cola brand, attempted to crack the Coca-Cola Pepsi firm grip on the market by launching into the Nigerian market alongside other carbonated drinks. It was such an audacious launch that immediately created shivers and panic among the two brands. Big Cola's strategy was predicated on pack size and lower price, but Aegis also had another clever strategy, which was maintaining a low advertising budget while devoting majority of its resources to building and supporting an aggressive distribution network to drive availability and awareness. The strategy seemed to have worked. Within a short period of time, the brand was rewarded with sales. Nigerians loved the fact that they could get more value even at a lower price. Aegis Big Cola leveraged on the increasing awareness to press forward with its aggressive distribution strategy. Obviously, Aegis' rising profile in the Nigerian market was a concern for both Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Their apprehension was exacerbated by Aegis' disruptive reputation in other markets where it has successfully forced its way into the top bracket of the cola segment. It took some time before Coca-Cola or Pepsi reacted, but they eventually did. Pepsi was the first to react with Long Throat, a 60 cl bottle selling at 100 naira. They also embarked on media campaign with above-the-line promotions, leveraging on celebrities as part of the advertisement. Coca-Cola also introduced more value by increasing the size of their PET bottles to 60 cl for the same price. With the response of Pepsi and Coca-Cola, their prices ranged between 100 naira and 120 naira, while Big Cola was selling its 65 cl bottle for 90 naira, with its price indented on the product. The market was silent for a while on actions and reactions until some months back. Coca-Cola brought back 35 cl PET bottles, selling it at 100 naira, and moved the price of 60 cl PET bottles to 150 naira. This was actually an offensive in the cola market. According to Marketing Edge on TV investigation, the feedback from the trade has been awesome on the 35 cl PET bottles. Since this last effort by Coca-Cola, Big Cola has beaten a tactical retreat as it goes on the drawing board for a new initiative. While the battle raged between the three musketeer cola brands, a fourth player, Biggie, also a cola brand, sneaked into the market, obviously with the hope of being part of the gladiators. The brand, whose presence in the market has become noticeable on the streets of major towns and cities, are being hawked aggressively in traffic and by retailers. The brand, which has not been known with any strategic marketing communications efforts nor any deliberate brand-building initiatives, has remained the toast among consumers who always want a taste of something new and fascinating. Though Biggie has been making some bold attempts to register its presence in the market, these attempts have not yielded expected results. As it were, rather than for the war in the cola segment to abate, it has continued to escalate with increasing competitiveness. The market, which is being challenged on all fronts, ironically, remains a bride and an attraction to new players. Indeed, the years ahead will determine who wins the battle for the hearts of the consumers in the cola market. And that's it on Branding Focus on Marketing Edge on TV.
The Nigerian marketing and advertising industry no doubt offer a huge potential for prospective investors and professionals with requisite skills and competencies to tap into the market. Marketing Edge on TV is a potpourri of happenings and developments in the integrated marketing and communication space of the Nigerian economy. Watch out for top players, gladiators, and professionals in the competitive business of brand management and management of brand business in Nigeria. From the cerebral and glamorous advertising professionals to the well-groomed marketing wizkid dictating and directing brand management business. Watch Marketing Edge on TV, only on TVC News.
You're welcome to Industry Conversation on Marketing Edge on TV. And today we'll be discussing state of PR practice. Is there a paradigm shift in a generational shift in the PR industry? And to discuss that with me today is Bolaji Okusaga. Bolaji Okusaga is a strategy and brand management enthusiast with wide experience in the mass media, marketing, public relations and banking. He is the managing consultant, Precise Reputation Design. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, my sis.
All right. So today we are talking about the PR industry, the state of PR. Is there a paradigm shift or is there a generational shift in the PR industry? So how will you assess contemporary PR in management of business in Nigeria?
The interesting thing is that we're in a phase in human existence or in the human experience that we've never been before, where everything seemed to be in a flux. So even if you decided that this was a trend and this trend was going to stay for this long, you're never too sure. Now, I'll give you a case in point. Graham Bell invented the telephone, and the telephone, analog as it was, stayed for almost 100 years before anybody even thought about augmenting or improving the experience. Ditto when Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, it stayed for a while. But what we're beginning to see, especially in the digital sphere, the kind of transformation and the kind of flux that continue to happen within that realm already, tells us that the human experience has changed. And it's not just that it has changed, it keeps changing. So while we're seated, certain other developments may have made some other earlier developments also obsolete. So in a sense, public relations as captured by the guild, he's not just changing, it is transitioning at a decent pace, more like a bullet train, all right? So if one were to just sit here and say, oh, is there a generational change? Beyond a generational change, it's a minute-by-minute change brought on by the reality of today, what with Internet of Things, what with robotics, what with artificial intelligence at its best, and the way that has affected the human experience. And if indeed PR is about relationships cultivated within the context of humanity, and humanity is now at the throes of this kind of a decent transition, then it begins to tell you what has happened to that profession. And this actually kicked in the mid-90s, so within a space of give or take 20 years, what has happened from people looking at things from a very traditional sense, people going to the newsroom to actually bond with editors, bond with correspondents, or people going physically, into communities to hold town hall meetings, or people actually going on the floor of the stock exchange to actually, look at the way analysts push and then try and influence them whether on the buy or the sell side, for investor relations, or people actually really getting on the shop floor to manage customer experience for customer relations. All of the spheres of relationship management that comes under PR has transitioned and keeps transitioning, such that what it used to be 20 years ago is no longer what it is. So in a sense, are we really seeing the signs, or are we like the boiling frog? This old parable about the boiling frog. If you put the frog in water and you heat it so slowly, it doesn't get a feeling that things are changing around it until it actually gets boiled, because it just keeps adjusting the body temperature to the temperature of the water until that happens. And I think that pretty much is our case, because human beings, by very essence, are creatures of habit. So I learned doing something, I become an expert at it. Why do I want to change what has made me an expert?
Okay.
It just doesn't happen that easily. So what you find is that we're still living in denial 20 years after the transition began, and the transition is still on. And if you ask me further questions, I'll tell you what has changed and how it keeps changing, and how we're not actually certain where it's all going to end.
Okay, before I ask you, what has changed, but what would you say is the core values, the attraction to profitability when it comes to management of a business?
The interesting thing about business is that the more your margins must be higher than your cost. So if I'm going to put in X cost, I must be sure that I am more than able to actually take out that cost and still be left with a reasonable margin that enables me to keep carrying on as a going concern.
Okay.
Now, what you then find is that where your business is beginning to experience some measure of volatility, you then start to see the bridging of margins and costs. So you find cost actually probably even equal in margin or shooting above margin. Then you begin to detect that indeed I am in the throes of some kind of crisis, and that if I don't immediately change my business model, I may just generally become extinct, So that's it.
Okay, to you, how would you describe the evolution of public relations, the practice of public relations in modern day corporate Nigeria?
Well, they probably do bits and fragments of it here and there, but in terms of understanding it from a composite sense, very few actually do. If you remove the multinationals who are already abreast with international best practice in this area, and so try as much as possible to still maintain some facade of global best practice even within the local environment. But if you remove that, what you find that is prevalent among local corporations and hybrids within the Nigerian space is press agentry. So where the asymmetric model, if you pardon me to use that intellectual term. So what you find is that a whole lot of them still look at it as, let's go do some press office work. So we get the media in to write a good story about us, whether we're doing good or not, put our picture in a vantage position within the traditional media, or our video in a news adjacency spot within the electronic media, and then we're fine. So to a great extent, that's the way they see PR. And that's why even when they structure their communications department, the first thing that comes to their mind is to go get a seasoned editor to man it. Or if the government actually wants a spokesperson to actually deliver on policy, communication, and as well as manage diverse stakeholder groups within the context of governance, they go get an editor, maybe a former president of Guild of Editors or Nigerian Journalists, because that's the way they've looked at it. And that's and perspective affect the way you actually manifest. That's what's happening. But to differ from that, what you then find is that in other climes where they understand that even though the lines may be a bit thin, the lines aren't blurred. Everything flows within a value chain, but it's like a salad bowl. Lettuce is lettuce, carrot is carrot. What do you call it? Onion is onion, and cream is cream. There's no melting pots. It's just the value chain. So everybody takes their role. So you find that then they look at public relations more like on a relationship basis, and their skills to do that. So it becomes like, how do I manage relationships? So we need to then get the right kind of skill sets, in terms of communication. We need to get the right kind of skill set in terms of building platforms, that can foster two-way communication and make it ongoing in such a way that feedbacks come and then we adjust the way we do our things.
Okay.
That, isn't happening within the Nigerian environment. But thanks to the multinationals, they're teaching us the way. You see the way an MTN will do its PR will be quite different from the way Glow in Nigerian business will do its PR. But we're learning. It's a journey. We may be slow starters. But I reckon that when Nigeria is not suffering from an insufficiency of skills in this area, it's just about mainstream acceptance. That's still the real issue. But we'll get there gradually.
Okay, you talked about the multinationals being able to have a clear definition when it comes to PR practice.
Yeah.
Do you think that the entrepreneurs, do you think they find the PR professionals dependable when it comes to, taking care of their businesses for them?
The interesting thing about PR, like with most marketing communications journals, even though I'm going to speak around convergence, which is already poo-pooing all the journals of communication and all the specialist offerings that we so hold dear and call ourselves experts at. But what you then find is that what you don't know, you don't judge well. I'm working with a client now who sees my role more as tactical. So he wants some logos done in certain ways, wants some colors done, and those are the kind of things you engage someone at my level for. That's more like what you engage a draftsman for. So if I'm an architect, what you should be bothering yourself about is the robust plan, the architecture, not the fittings and the finishing. Those are for guilds, those are for masons. But that's what the client prioritizes, because the client doesn't have sufficient understanding of how to get the best value from my engagement. So over time when I go for appraisals, that's the level at which I'm boxed in, because that's our understanding of my role within the mix. So what you find is that they don't get as much value as they should, because they don't have a deep understanding of it. But where you found clients that at least allow you, even if they don't understand it, the liberty to be creative and think out of the box and actually display the ingenuity that comes from the understanding of that subject matter, then you find that such clients will prosper. That's, if you see GT Bank as an expression, what you find is some kind of liberation of people to actually own their expertise without somebody breathing down their back and asking, what is a bank doing with an online entertainment platform, for instance, in Dami? What are they doing with fashion and food exhibitions, for instance? But those things are making the difference, because someone somewhere just said, these guys probably understand human relationships better, and they know what will move the chips for us, so let them do it. And as those radical tables come on the table and they're adopted and mainstreamed, what you then find is some kind of pungent differentiation by the guys choosing to be open-minded, to allow new ideas come on board, to actually allow the professional actually begin to generally just variegate and grow ideas that prosper them. So I think that should be the role, people who are managers on the other side who don't have enough understanding should do. But the way I always say to people is that don't even try to understand where it is adding up. Just continue to reinvent and to make the shifts as fast as you can, because if you don't reinvent, you die. And that's how come dinosaurs don't exist anymore.
All right, on that note, well, if you don't reinvent,
you die.
You die. Okay, that's it on Industry Conversation this week. And my guest has been Bolaji Okusaga. He is a managing consultant, Precise Reputation Design. Stay with us. Well, that's been our package this week on Marketing Edge on TV. And we have taken a look at industry conversation, branding focus, and of course, our brand news. Be sure to join us same time next week, where we'll take a look at more issues on the program. My name is Dele Agadumo.